long time ago, someone asked me why I seldom preached on tithing, and I told them that tithing was a simple thing. When it comes to tithes and offerings, all you have to know is that you should love the Lord thy God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. And if you also love your neighbor as you love yourself, the tithes and offerings will flow out of your pocket and into every proper place it is needed. God's churches and every ministry would have all the money they need. All the widows and the orphans would be provided for. All you have to do is seek the will of the Lord for your life with all the gusto you can. It's simple, downright simple. So then, why do the people keep falling for the old song and dance of ministers crying for money? And believe me, many times it really is a song and dance. I've seen some ministers that could have won Oscars for their performance. But the people fall for it because of two reasons. One reason may be because they are naive enough to fall for the song and dance. This is sad, but is often the case. But the other reason is that it appeals to many people according to their own fleshly greed. Many people like the thought of having more money. Greed is mentioned in the Bible, you know. But I would like you to notice something interesting. Much of the current hawking for money is based on the get principle. Now, the principle that the Bible emphasizes is that it is better to give than to receive. However, the hook that hauls in many fish in the Christian market is the principle of investing. No, the ministers don't call it investing. They call it the principle of sowing seed. They tell people that if they sow the seed of money, God will open up the windows of heaven and pour out a blessing that is sevenfold or tenfold or 100-fold or something like that. Now, the principle is basically true. If we give to God with all our hearts, God will certainly bless us. However, that isn't what the ministers are suggesting. They say if you give God $100, He'll turn around and bless you with an amount substantially greater than the $100 you gave. But look what is really taking place. If you give God $100 and then start focusing your expectation on a return greater than you gave, you have not given God a single red cent. You haven't given God a gift at all. What you've done is to make an investment in God. You have put down your money for some heavenly stock certificates, and you are planning in advance on sitting on it for as short a time as possible until you can conveniently cash in the stock for a huge increase. This is not giving. This is investing. God isn't asking you to invest in Him. He is telling you to be crucified daily. He is telling you to love Him so much and to love your neighbor so much that you just give and give and give from your heart until you can't give anymore. He wants you to give without expecting anything in return. King David said that he would serve the Lord God even if the Lord God was to slay him. David had a heart after God. He wasn't saying that he served God for what he could get out of him, but he served God as a total submission even if God was to slay him. This is what a giving heart is all about. We need to give to God in earnestness, not being concerned with whether or not it comes back. Yes, it will come back because God is a magnificent God and a God who blesses us mightily. However, if you are thinking about getting more back than what you're giving, then you aren't really giving anything at all. You're investing. What would you do if someone came up to you in your moment of need and said, "Here's $20. Make sure I get back at least that much plus a good sizable increase"? What would your response be? You wouldn't like it, would you? And God doesn't like it either. He doesn't like it when His shepherds fleece the sheep. He wants the shepherds to feed the sheep, not feast on the sheep. And He doesn't want the sheep trying to play the stock market on God. God isn't the banker up in heaven. He's the one that put Himself on the cross and died a horrible death for you and me. He didn't call you and me to get rich so we could spend it on luxuries or delicacies. He wants us to stop drooling for money and start treating money like it was meant to be treated. Money is not evil, but the love of money is evil. If you're investing in God instead of giving to God, then you're guilty of the love of money. You're not trusting that God will provide. You're trusting that He will give you a great return on your investment. You can play this game if you want to, but I'd rather trust God to take care of my future and concentrate on the present day needs of others. The church is sick. No, not condemned. Not yet. It is sick. It needs to be healed. And we need to let God heal us. But He's not going to heal us just so we can go out and expose ourselves to the evils around us again and again. He wants so very much to bless His people, but He can't do that until we take the blessing He gives us and begin to use it properly. The gold and silver delights of this world will eventually be turned into pavement. We'll walk on it. It won't be for our decoration. The heavenly Jerusalem is described as having streets of gold and gates of pearl, not so that we can drool at the thought of being rich, but so that we can realize that these things are just so much mineral deposits with God. They are just elements that mean nothing to God, for God has all things without an end to His ownership. It is this earth and the temptations of Satan that urge us to wealth. But the true wealth is in Jesus Christ and in the inheritance of the saints. Everything else will pass away. Therefore be careful, for if Jesus comes in the clouds of heaven while you're occupied with your investments, you just might be left behind.